It's always in the difficult situations where you see the true colors of the people in your life, and you need to pay attention to it and not justify it, because it's easy to do so. I knew I needed to change my friends when we were trying to meet up and my car was out of commission, and let's just say I had a lot of bad days, down days, just not feeling worthy because I didn't have the money to fix it. And it was in those moments where I needed the people who I hanged around with to be around me the most. When we were trying to meet up, I reminded her and said, hey, I don't have my car. Is it possible to meet up more closer within my area instead of another area where I would have to take the bus all the way there and it'll take like an hour plus? Mind you, the proximities are not that, they're not that far, especially if you have a car. I remember her saying, no, let's just meet the other place. And that's when I realized that I don't think this person is really my friend. We didn't end up meeting, and I wasn't gonna force someone to understand the situation. It just said 1,000 words based on that whole situation because the distances were that bad. It said so much in that one situation, because if you genuinely would want to meet up with a friend, you would try to make it as comfortable for the other person that doesn't have a car. I mean, that's how I would do it. That's how I've had other friends do it. I think it's completely normal. It did change my perspective on friendships. I was disappointed. I was let down. I honestly didn't think a normal person would do something like that. And it almost fed into the narrative of feeling like, do I really need friends? Because you could just be all by yourself and avoid the disappointments that people bring. Because sometimes people can let you down. Not everyone is going to be for you. There are people, when it comes to friendships, who are opportunists, meaning they're only looking to be friends with you in a good time. They're only looking to meet up when they need someone to go with, and they're not there for you in the times where life is not so sexy. I don't want to be friends with people like that. And I could understand why some people get very discouraged when it comes to friendships, because it's like dating, literally. Like, you're gonna meet different types of people. People might let you down. They may not meet your expectations, or it will suck even more if you're a person that gives 100% and other people don't. I feel like those are the people who it affects most, is the people who give themselves more and they go above and beyond. And as much as I want to say that it's very hard to make friendships and it can be a letdown, I would have to say that I've made great people who make great friends, who have really restored my faith when it comes to friendships, and it's not something that you should give up on. I remember meeting this girl, and this was actually during the same time that I didn't have my car, and we met her for ice cream. So I suggested a place that was down the road. She agreed to it, and it was easy to get to, and we had just met. Okay, we were connecting, and by the end of the night, she just automatically offered. She was like, oh, hey, like, and it was the opposite way of her. And she was like, hey, like, do you want me to give you a ride? And I was like, oh, that's so kind. I wasn't gonna ask. I was gonna take the bus back because it was literally just straight down. And she just offered. I remember thinking in that moment, wow, if someone could be so gracious and kind to just offer something to you, it's a sign not to settle. Because there's people out there who will match your energy, who will want to give just as much as you want to give, who want to nurture just as much as you want to nurture, and want to genuinely just be around you and treat you well. It's important that you not only notice the red flags, but you're noticing the green flags. There was many times in previous friendships where I ignored red flags. I would get a intuition, and I would get a feeling where I was like, I don't feel like I belong in this group. I don't feel like they like me. And at first I thought it was insecurities. I believe it was a real feeling. Like, it was a real feeling that they probably weren't being genuine. I don't know what it was. When I'd be around them, it was fine. But I always got that feeling. But it wasn't until yesterday I thought about it. And I went out with friends. I went out with friends to an event. And I've met these girls multiple times. And I got to realize, wait, I feel so at home. I genuinely feel a part of the group. I don't feel that same feeling like I did before. That was my confirmation that the red flags that I was feeling was genuine, and you have to listen to those. And if you see it, it's important that you drop them. It's just like dating. If you see red flags in the guy, you would drop them. So this has to go the same for a friendship. And just the same, you should recognize the green flags and appreciate it. So yesterday I got to recognize the green flags, and I was like, okay, I have to remember this feeling. And I want you to remember those feelings. When you see a green flag and a win for friendships, take it in, because it's so easy to get really disappointed with friendships. It's important to continue to make new friends and not stop. You should always be continuously making new friends and meeting new people, and not just stop at the first circle you meet, because you don't know what's out there. It's like you're building a roster of friends, so you may grow to have a lot of friends, but they're in different buckets, right? You do different things with them. Or you may grow to have your circle, but it's important you don't settle on the circle, because it may not be the ultimate best maximized circle yet. It's kind of like dating, when they tell you to date multiple people until you see the best guy win. And I know a lot of people have different opinions about this, but I feel like it's very similar. So you're dating multiple people to see how they are, so you have something to compare to. But if you just stop at just that one guy, you're gonna fail to be able to compare to other experiences. And the same has to be for friends. Is you do not settle on just the first friends, and the goal is to choose the best friends for you that suits your life based on how they make you feel, the experience, and all that other thing. Now I'm at a point where if I see a friendship is not working in my favor, or if I feel like it's one-sided, usually I will test it out, because I'm very fond of people. So when I become friends with you, I'll be checking up on you, trying to meet up, trying to plan things. I love planning things. But if I see it's one-sided, usually my true test would be, okay, are they reaching out to me? And I just stop reaching out. And if they're not reaching out, I know, okay, that wasn't a true friendship. And I understand people go through things, but there has to be some give and take. And there's this version of myself where I just want to people please. I want to convince them to like me, because that's how it's been for me since elementary school and high school, where I'm like, oh my God, I admire the person and I just want to do everything. So I'll be giving 100% and then get back 20%. I would accept that. And as I've grown over the years, I've realized that's not okay. And it's important to put yourself first, especially in relationships, and making sure that it benefits you. And it comes to a point where you're gonna have to decide that you are valuable and you're worth not chasing down people. The healthy friendships I've built, I'm very appreciative, because now I see what healthy friendships are like and how organic it should be. It should not feel forced. People should naturally be thinking of you and sending you things. So, for example, a lot of the things that my friends do is they'll send me events, or like, you know, little memes, whatever the topic is. And it's just natural. They're like, oh, look at this. And then we decide if we want to go or not. And I really like that. It's free flowing. And then when we meet up, we talk about life and everything else. And we laugh, and we're just very happy around each other. And I think that's what a true organic friendship is. You should be texting here and there. Like, maybe not every day, but you're at least texting frequent enough where you're starting to meet each other over and over again. And the relationship is just starting to cultivate. Meeting once is not good enough. And you have to keep the dialogue going. It's not good enough to just meet once and then end the dialogue. So if you're a people pleaser and you want friendship so bad, you have to be careful with that, because you need to make sure that you are recognizing when the friendship does not serve you and when the person's not interested in your friendship. As much as they seem all nice, when you meet in person, they treat you well, but you have to recognize true friendships from friendships where people are just opportunists. You are not a desperate being. You deserve to put your energy in the right places. I got you, girl. I got you. I know my downfalls. Because I have that background of feeling abandoned and not belonging and the outsider, I naturally want to go above and beyond for people and make sure they feel comfortable and safe, and everyone gets a say in the group and everyone feels welcomed. That's just naturally me. And having those great, awesome qualities can work against you if you're not aware of them, because people will take advantage. They'll be like, oh, well, I know Nikia's gonna do this, blah, blah, blah. So you wanna make sure that you're giving your energy to the right people who will handle it correctly. Because there's people out there who won't and will take a mile. They'll take a big chunk. I also refuse to entertain people who only want to reach out when they need someone and wouldn't otherwise reach out just to reach out. You know, sometimes it's so nice for someone to just reach out to you just to reach out, because you know why? It means that you are on their mind. It feels so good. And you should do the same no matter how busy you are. If someone comes to mind, just reach out and say, hey, how's it going? How's everything? You don't have to meet up all the time. You may not meet up all the time, but just reaching out and just keeping that connection going, I think makes all the difference. Like, people appreciate that, because that's a lost art nowadays. People don't check up on each other as much as we did maybe years ago. We don't do that. It's a lost art. Everyone's on social media. Everyone's watching your stories and your posts. And so it makes them feel like they're connecting with you, but they really aren't. I'm not a placeholder for someone because they're bored. And neither should you be. The worst thing is seeing someone wanting to make friends and they write a post or they connect with you saying, hey, I'm bored, I want to go do something, and you don't really know them or anything like that, and they only want to do something with you because they're bored. That is the worst feeling ever, because you're like, am I not worth it to do something when you're not bored? But because like you have no one else to reach out to, you're thinking of me as some last resort. There's a part of you that accepts their values and who they are. So I just look out for those things, the type of people they're around, and who their support system is. Usually the people who I'm hanging around with, we seem to have the same interests, so then I will know who will go good together. So then sometimes I'll bring different friends together. It's very cool to see. So it is possible to attract similar people around you. I think it's just very important to pay attention to who your friends are hanging around with if you get to that point. If I'm not gonna allow a man to ask me on a date because they're bored, I for sure ain't gonna allow a friend to do the same. We need to hold up these standards. Boundaries, you need to have boundaries. I've gotten to a point in my life where I don't want friendships if you are always going to undervalue yourself and not take any advice. Just keep on doing the same thing over and over again and then coming back to me and complaining. We're not about that life. If you are constantly only talking about men and dating, and don't get me wrong, it's okay to talk about dating sometimes, but like if that's all we're talking about all the time and we're talking about men and men issues, I don't want to be around that. Because there's so many other things to talk about in friendships. I also want to be around friends who have goals and ambition, because that's motivating stuff. It keeps you going. It's very admirable to see someone working towards something. I love stuff like that. I also love friends who have their own hobbies. Just hearing them talk about what they're passionate about. I recently met a new friend where we've been meeting a few times, and we found out that she can sing and play guitar at the same time. Do you know how mesmerizing that is? That is so admirable. It makes you want to be around that person more and more. And this is why you should have your own hobbies, because you are your best self when you're doing things you love. And it makes you more of an interesting person. I have nothing against friends who have partners or they're married, but the one rule I have is they have to be able to stand on their own and not just be depending on their significant other. They need to be able to just be themselves, and especially when they're around me, and not just be talking about their significant other who wants to just be talking about guys all the time. And it's important to me that they're genuinely happy and they're safe, and that's all I care about. All the other things, hey, you go do your thing, but that's very important to me. If you want a true friendship, you should be able to make time. There's no excuse for that, because you're the one that wanted it. So there's no excuse. If you are saying that you want friendships, you need to make time and figure out days that you're available. You may be tired sometimes. It may be in the evening after work, but I've found that just pushing yourself and going is so worth it, because you end up just having so much fun. So in general, it's just important for me in terms of boundaries, where I'm watching their mental health and watching how they are. Doesn't mean that they have to be perfect, but I want to make sure that they're at a place where they have values for themselves and morals. They put themselves first. They understand boundaries for themselves and others. And I think those are important, because you're going to be around them. So you're bound to also adapt some of their qualities, because they say friends who flock together often share the same values and interests. Your friends say a lot about you. Put me in a room with your friends, and I don't know, and I'll tell you who you are. I will not hang around you if I see your friends are a certain way, because I'm like, most likely there's some commonalities. I'm just very protective of my environment because I'm aware that you can be easily affected by someone else. Your mindset can be affected. It can change everything around your purpose. I'm a very purpose-driven person, so I guess that's why I'm like that. You may not be like that, and that's okay. But the most important thing is you have to know when it's time to drop a friend. I'm not afraid to drop a friend if I need to. I'm not afraid to distance myself if it's not aligning with my goals and values. There's some of you right now that won't even drop a friend because you're maybe afraid about what they think, or you're maybe telling yourself, man, I already have little friends already and I don't know how to make new ones. And you just feel like it's generally hard. And you'd rather just keep the little string of friends that you have left around you. Drop them. And how I know people do this is because I will sometimes see people say, oh, well, I've been friends with this person for 10 years and I've been trying to meet up with them. They're not meeting up with me and we're not going out as much and blah, blah, whatever the situation is. And I think to myself, make new friends. Don't hang on to the friend that you used to have. There's different seasons for friends. Sometimes seasons change. That's why you'll see there's some seasons where you'll be meeting up with that friend and then seasons change and then all of a sudden you're not meeting with them as much. It's just the way it is. It's important that we're not hanging on to friendships that no longer serve us. They say marriage is the most second important decision apart from your religion in terms of deciding who you're going to believe in. But I believe the most third important thing that you can ever do is choosing your friends. It's really to determine what your journey looks like, what your moments look like. Are they going to be bad or good ones? And how supported you feel. It makes such a big difference. The friends that you have around you will help you so much throughout your lifetime. They're so important to have. A lot of people who don't have friends suffer. They really do suffer. When you close yourself off, it's so hard to thrive. We need people around us. Tell me in the comments, do you have some friends to drop?